Hi folks, Jeff Bronner from VersaChock. I'm here today to show you a brand new product that is designed for installing threaded deck plates into boat decks with the blind fastening plate that we've designed and developed. It's patent pending right now, so you won't see anything else like this on the market. It's really cool. The whole reason for this is to be able to install a threaded deck plate into your deck without having any access below. So you could do that for a multitude of reasons, whether you don't have physical access to the bottom of the underside of your deck, or maybe you're doing an install solo and you don't have somebody to be able to hold a wrench on the bottom side as you're tightening your screws on the top side. So I'm going to show you how to install this today. And first I'd like to show you what's in the kit. So the kit is fairly simple. It's going to include a threaded deck plate, which has a M10 threaded hole in the center here. It's going to also include our blind fastener plate, which doubles as a backing plate, as well as it has threaded holes, so you're not going to need any other fasteners on the bottom side, as well as 3 number 10-24 thread by 2-inch long oval head screws. And then it's also going to include a threaded stud with a nut, and this is going to help for installation, as well as a template. It shows you where the holes are going to be located when we go to do the install. Tools you're going to need: a simple, regular, standard power drill, something to measure with. Use calipers or a ruler, a scale, something to cut the tie strap with, Phillips head screwdriver, a 3/8 wrench, needle nose pliers, something to mark your holes with, a 1/4-inch drill bit, a 1/2-inch drill bit, and a 3/4-inch drill bit, as well as whatever your favorite marine sealant is to seal everything up as you go along too. Now in this install, we're going to be doing this into a piece of 1-inch thick starboard. So if you're drilling through fiberglass, you're probably going to want to use like a hole saw rather than a high-speed drill bit to make it a little bit cleaner to get through the surface. Whereas with the plastic starboard material, it's better to use a high-speed drill bit. So you're probably going to opt for a hole saw on a boat deck. So let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is locate the deck plate on the deck. I'm going to move these over here. And then once you have your location for your deck plate, get the center line and mark it. And then you want to get your template, and I'm going to bring this up so you can see this a little bit closer. So the first 3 holes we're going to want to mark and drill are going to be the ones vertically in the center here. So in the very center, there's a 3/4-inch hole. Then there's a 1/2-inch hole, a 1/2 inch above that hole, and then another 1/2-inch hole, a 1/2 inch below that hole. And what that orientation for those holes is going to put our blind fastener plate in this same orientation here. So this top hole here and the top 1/2-inch hole here are going to be lined up and use the same hole. So the other 2 holes for the fasteners, we're going to locate those after we drill these first 3 holes. So the first thing I want to do is take my template and take these measurements from this template here for the 3 large holes, and I want to transfer those onto the plate here, the deck. So I used a pair of calipers, and I pre-marked these holes before the demonstration here. So I have my 3 holes marked. Calipers work great. They're very accurate. I would highly recommend taking the time to make sure you get these holes, everything aligned very accurately, because it's going to really make the installation a lot easier and cleaner too. So now that those 3 holes are marked, I'm going to drill a pilot hole for each one of them before drilling the larger holes. That'll make it a lot easier to keep the drill bit centered. So I'm just going to drill these through. Okay, now that we've got those 3 pilot holes drilled, I'm going to do the 1/2-inch holes next, and then we'll do the 3/4-inch hole last. I'm going to slow this drill down, these larger bits. Keep it from tearing my arm off. Okay, let's get our 3/4 inch hole drilled here in the center. Okay. Now what you want is, when you get these 3 holes drilled, we're going to be pushing this fastener plate sideways through here. So you want to make sure your holes look like this. You want to have a nice, basically like a big slot with a larger hole in the center of it. And that's going to allow you to feed the fastener plate through. The next step, we want to put our deck plate into the hole location here, and I want to mark these 2 back holes here. And again, we got a little slop here, so you want to make sure that you align this perfectly and get it centered in the hole, and then mark these 2 other holes like so. Okay, now these are going to be we're going to drill those out to 1/4 inch. Speed it back up again to the small drill. Okay. All right. Now we have all our holes drilled. So the next step is we're going to take the blind fastener plate, we're going to push it through the hole, and then we want to bring it back up and orientate it horizontally. So we're just going to push it through. And what you want to do is make sure you hold on to it. Don't drop the fastener plate into the deck of your boat. Once we get that inside the hole that faces, I'm going to call it north, this way, I'm just going to take one of our oval head screws, and I just want to get it started in the plate. It's going to give me a little bit more to kind of hang on to, as well as I want to make sure I get all 3 fasteners located in this step of the process. The second one I'm going to add is on this side. You can do either side. We want to get the threaded stud started into the fastener plate, and make sure you have the nut on the top side there too. That's gonna keep the blind fastener plate from dropping when we go to the next step of the installation. So I want to get this in here, make sure it's engaged. Maybe a 1/4 inch would be nice. Leave it kind of loose. It could be a little bit sloppy right now because I want to take another one of the oval head screws and get it into this hole over here. And this is going to confirm that the hole locations I drilled align up with the fastener plate, which is going to also line up with the holes on the deck plate before we go any further. So now that everything is lined up really good, we don't need this tie strap anymore. So I'm just going to reach down in the hole with my X-Acto knife here, and I'm just going to cut that. And then we can take a pair of pliers and we're just going to surgically remove it. Once you get that out, you don't need that anymore. Okay. All right, so now the next step we want to do, we want to get the fastener plate tight up to the back of the decking here. So I'm just going to tighten the nut up here, and you can just snug it. Don't get crazy with it, but you want it nice and snug so that when we take these 2 screws out here, I don't want that plate to shift. Because when I put my deck plate in, those holes may not line up, and then you're going to have to back everything out and get it realigned. So once you get this this tightened up, you know everything's lined up. Let's take these oval head screws back out. Okay. Now, before we put the deck plate in, this is a perfect time. If you want to get any sealant into these holes, this is like the perfect opportunity, especially down below. Once we get the deck plate, everything pre-threaded, we're going to be able to get sealant underneath the deck plate here. But if you want to get any type of sealant in the holes here, now's the time to do it. Another thing you can do too, which is recommended, is you might want to put a little bit of Loctite on threaded Loctite or whatever brand you want to choose on your threads before you install them into the plate here. So once you have your sealant in, we can drop the threaded deck plate on, and we're just going to thread in the two of these oval head screws where the stud is not located at, and we want to get them in there, well, maybe 1/8 of an inch. You know, you want them threaded in enough they're not going to fall out, but I want it loose enough to where I can lift this up. I need access to get this nut and stud off of here next, and then also we're going to have some room if we want to add sealant before we drop the deck plate down too. So I'm going to take my 3/8 wrench and I'm just going to loosen up that nut. And then on the top side here, we can start unthreading the stud. You can even put the wrench back on there to hold the nut underneath. Let's just thread this stud out of here. Once that's out, we can slide the nut out of there. We won't be needing this anymore. And then the next step, we're going to insert the third oval head screw. I'm going to use my screwdriver just to get it started here. And now at this point, you see we still have some gap here. We can still raise this up about 1/2 inch. And this would be a perfect time to actually get your sealant around the top surface here. Once you do that, drop the deck plate down, take your screwdriver, and we're just going to tighten the fasteners up. The one thing I'll tell you, I highly recommend just using a hand screwdriver on these types of fasteners. Stainless steel, when you use a power driver on some threaded fasteners in stainless, if there's any little burr or anything on the thread, it'll start balling it up, and then it'll gall, and then it'll seize, and there's no way you're going to be able to get it back out. So I would suggest mainly using just use a hand screwdriver when you're tightening up these fasteners. So that's it. This is the completed installation here. The threaded deck plate is now ready to use. You can use it, put an eye bolt in it for tie downs. These we use also for our removable davit systems too. So a lot of other uses on decks for these plates. But anyway, thanks for watching. If you want any more information, please go to our website, which is at VersaChock.com. It's www.versachock.com. Thank you.